Welcome to the deep dive. You hand us a stack of sources today it's a fascinating mix.
It is, isn't it?
We've got ancient philosophy, modern business strategy from Peter Drucker, and then some pretty stark military wisdom from figures like General Patton and Nelson Mandela.
Right. It's an unusual collection, but the mission here is clear. We're not just, collecting random quotes about leadership.
Wow.
We're trying to synthesize them
Yeah.
to build one coherent, integrated philosophy for you on how to lead with genuine impact.
A kind of shortcut, really.
Exactly. A shortcut for you, the learner,
Yeah.
to get to the core DNA of what makes a leader effective. And when you put all these voices together, three major themes they jump right out.
Okay, what are they?
First, the absolute priority of action. Second, the necessity of truth and integrity. And third, the fundamental practice of humility and service.
And we are jumping straight in with a quote that I think completely redefines how we look at thinking versus doing. It's from Jerry Sternin. He said, "It's easier to act your way into a new way of thinking than to think your way into a new way of acting."
That statement is so critical. It really challenges this modern myth of the perfect strategy.
The idea that you have to have it all figured out before you make a move.
Yes. We assume this comprehensive contemplation has to come first. Sterna's wisdom just flips that on its head. He's arguing that the paralysis of overthinking is your greatest obstacle.
I think this is so relevant today. You see it everywhere, right? In fast-moving industries, people spend so much time modeling, predicting, trying to find that one perfect plan.
And while they're waiting, the world moves on. That waiting period is often the downfall. If you aren't moving, you just aren't learning.
Right.
Exactly. Understanding doesn't just, appear out of nowhere. It emerges from engagement. It's a feedback loop.
Okay, so you act.
You act, and that action generates immediate, real-world data. That data refines your understanding, which then informs your next action. If you just stay still, you starve the whole loop.
You can't think your way past a learning curve.
You have to do the work, which brings a real sense of urgency to it all. And this isn't just business theory. In some cases, it's life or death.
General George Patton, he made this philosophy crystal clear. He said, "A good plan, violently executed now, is better than a perfect plan executed next week."
And that phrase, violently executed, it isn't about aggression.
No.
It's about velocity, commitment. It means effectiveness requires movement speed, energy, a willingness to act on imperfect information. If you wait for 100% certainty,
You miss 100% of your opportunities. The window just closes.
but if we're all about speed and action, how do you stop that from just becoming, reckless chaos?
That's a great question, and the sources seem to point to the sheer hard work required to maintain that velocity.
That's where the discipline comes in. Vince Lombardi connected action directly to discipline. He said, leaders aren't born, they are made. And they are made just like anything else through hard work.
So the speed of execution, it requires the muscle memory of consistent effort.
You don't get to violently execute a good plan if you haven't put in the hard, grinding work beforehand. You need the judgment and skill that only comes from that work.
So the velocity from Patton is built on the foundation of effort from Lombardi. That's a fantastic synthesis.
And for you, the learner, seeking knowledge itself is an active pursuit. It's not passive.
It requires that same motion.
We see that mirrored in ancient wisdom, which is all framed around verbs of action. Matthew 7.7 is a perfect example. Ask, seek, knock.
Ask, seek, knock, all verbs.
All about initiating motion to unlock insight. The universe rewards the active participant.
Okay, so action is the starting point. We have to move. But if we move without direction, without genuine belief, we're just running in circles.
And that's our perfect pivot into part 2.
The necessity of grounding that action in integrity and truth.
Action has to be anchored. And philosophically, the sources point to the inherent strength of truth itself. Leo Tolstoy observed that only misconceptions need to be supported by elaborate arguments. Truth can always stand alone.
I love that. The more complex your argument, the less true your position probably is.
It just is. The genuine article doesn't need spin. And this idea of simple, standing truth, it has surprisingly sharp teeth in the world of modern business.
Especially when we look at Peter Drucker's analysis of failure.
Drucker's concept of temperamental fit is maybe the most actionable insight on integrity we found. He looked at corporate acquisitions that failed spectacularly.
Even with perfect financials.
Flawless projections. His conclusion was that failure often came from a deep lack of respect, a misalignment of temperaments.
Let's unpack that because this is where theory gets very real.
Mm.
What about the example of the pharmaceutical companies buying cosmetic firms?
Right. So on paper, it looks like a synergy play, right? Distribution, manufacturing. But the fatal flaw was a failure of respect.
Which is a failure of integrity.
Exactly. The acquiring pharmacologists, as the sources explain, saw themselves as serious people. They were dealing with health, with science. They viewed cosmetics, the lipstick, the marketing as frivolous.
They didn't respect the product or the user.
Or the end user. And what happens when the people making the big strategic decisions have contempt for the product?
They're going to make the wrong decisions. Every time.
Invariably. They'll cut the wrong budgets, they'll fire the creative talent, they'll try to apply a clinical research model to an emotional, trend-driven market.
And Drucker found the same thing with TV networks buying book publishers.
Same pattern. They tried to apply media logic to books, forgetting that authors and book buyers aren't an audience you can measure with a Nielsen box. They lacked that temperamental fit, that genuine belief in the value.
That is so profound. It suggests leadership integrity isn't just about, not committing fraud. It's about an internal truth.
A genuine respect and belief you have in your own mission and the people you serve.
Which is why Dwight Eisenhower just boiled it all down. He said the supreme quality of leadership is integrity.
It's the foundation. It's the anchor. If your anchor is shaky, velocity just speeds up the crash.
And before you can show that integrity to your team, you have to rule yourself. There's an ancient Latin proverb that drives that point home.
It is absurd that a man should rule others who cannot rule himself.
What does self-rule mean in a leadership context?
It means conquering your own ego, confronting your own blind spots. It means having the discipline to adhere to the standards you set for everyone else. It's the daily discipline of honesty with yourself.
Okay, so once we're anchored in that truth and committed to action, the next discipline we need is focus. Extreme focus.
Which moves us into our third theme, the discipline of clarity and the practice of humble service.
Stephen Covey captured this distinction so well.
He did. He said, effective leadership is putting first things first. Effective management is discipline, carrying it out. Leadership defines the priority. The management executes.
But defining those priorities takes a backbone, especially today. Everyone has a competing priority.
Oh, absolutely. You have to accept Aesop's timeless warning. Please all, and you will please none. You have to disappoint some people to maintain clarity.
And that's why the best leaders are masters of simplification. General Colin Powell said great leaders are almost always great simplifiers.
Who can cut through argument, debate, and doubt to offer a solution everybody can understand.
In a world drowning in data and complexity, simplification is the real art.
We sometimes confuse simplification with dumbing things down.
Right.
But a true simplifier takes a 100-page strategic report and reduces it to 3 core memorable objectives. It's the ability to translate all that nuance into a clear vector of action that everyone can get behind.
And that clear vector, that allows the leader to do something crucial.
To step back, which is the ultimate test of humility. If you've done your job well, the team shouldn't need you constantly directing traffic.
Which brings us to Lao Tzu's profound definition of success.
A leader is best when people barely know he exists. When his work is done, his aim fulfilled, they will say, we did it ourselves.
That's the goal, the team feeling like they own the success completely.
And that posture of service requires a really disciplined approach to credit and blame. John Maxwell articulated this perfectly.
Maxwell said a good leader takes a little more than his share of the blame and a little less than his share of the credit.
That exchange, rate-absorbing failure and distributing success, that's the currency of trust.
It shows you're playing for the name on the front of the jersey, not the one on the back.
This is what we call leading from behind. And Nelson Mandela gave us the perfect model for it.
He said, it is better to lead from behind and to put others in front, especially when you celebrate victory.
You take the front line when there is danger, then people will appreciate your leadership.
It's so counterintuitive, but so powerful. When things are good, you shine the spotlight on the team. When things are dangerous, you step in front and absorb the shock.
That builds fierce dedication, and it gives you the right to trust them fully.
Which connects right back to General Patton.
It does. He said, never tell people how to do things. Tell them what to do, and they will surprise you with their ingenuity. Give them the mission, trust them, and get out of the way.
This whole integrated philosophy, action, integrity, humility, it's incredibly demanding. It's not a destination you arrive at.
No, it's a continuous practice. Which brings us to our final crucial segment, the continuous practice of development and balance.
The sources are unanimous on this. Leadership is not a static state.
It's a commitment to relentless growth. JFK's assertion that leadership and learning are indispensable to each other is an absolute requirement.
And that learning is directed outward. Harvey Firestone gave us the ethical mission here. The growth and development of people is the highest calling of leadership.
Your greatest product is more leaders.
And to sustain all this, growing others, checking your own integrity, maintaining clarity, you have to master balance.
Jim Rohn gave us a brilliant framework for this. For managing the paradoxes of power, he defined 7 critical pairs that leaders have to embody.
Let's slow down and look at a couple of these because they're so insightful. The first one, strong but not rude.
Right. What does that balance look like? It means exercising authority clearly, decisively, but without resorting to personal attacks.
Strength is making the hard call.
Exactly. Cutting a failing project. Rudeness is when your ego takes over, and the feedback becomes about showing you're superior, not solving the problem. A strong leader gives direct feedback. A rude leader humiliates.
That distinction is vital. And what about this one? Humble, but not timid. This goes right back to action over contemplation.
Absolutely. Humility is essential. You have to know your blind spots, you have to listen. But a timid leader who's consumed by self-doubt, they can't take action.
So the integrated leader can say, I might be wrong.
While at the same time saying, but we must move forward now based on the best information we have. Conviction without arrogance.
That disciplined balance is how great power gets used wisely. Seneca warned us about this centuries ago.
He who has great power should use it lightly.
And Ovid gave us the principle for fairness. A ruler should be slow to punish and swift to reward.
Your leverage as a leader should be used mostly for encouragement. Correction is reserved only for when it's truly necessary.
Now, for you, the listener, this might all feel a bit overwhelming, these massive philosophical requirements.
But remember that this entire integrated philosophy is built on tiny daily commitments. The Tanzanian proverb is a necessary reminder here.
Little by little, a little becomes a lot.
It's the compound effect of character. Every single day, you choose action, you choose integrity, you choose humility. And if you falter,
You choose to begin again.
this commitment to daily truthful action is itself a profound practice. There's a Spanish proverb that captures it so well. Una buena acción es la mejor oración.
A good action is the best prayer.
And you're not defined by having 0 flaws. John Zenker confirmed this. Great leaders aren't defined by the absence of weakness. They're defined by the presence of clear strengths.
So focus on cultivating your authentic strengths, anchored in truth, and just commit to the daily effort.
So let's just quickly pull together this integrated philosophy we built for you today. It starts with a commitment to action.
Act your way into new thinking. Prioritize motion.
Then that action has to be anchored in integrity and truth. It demands temperamental fit, that genuine respect for your mission.
If you can't rule yourself, you can't lead others.
And finally, you lead with clarity. You become a great simplifier. And you practice profound humility, leading from behind and making the growth of your people your highest calling.
The wisdom here reminds us that the goal isn't perfection. It's impossible. Tolstoy concluded the difference between people isn't that one is virtuous and another is sinful.
But rather, whether one strives to move toward truth and virtue and the other does not.
The striving is what matters, the daily commitment to begin again.
And we want to leave you with one final thought, something to tie these big ideas back to your everyday life. It's from Robert Brault, who observed, "Enjoy the little things, for one day you may look back and realize they were the big things."
Think about that challenge. Your big things, your legacy, your impact are made up entirely of today's little things.
That small, truthful action you took, the credit you gave away, the clarity you brought to a confusing meeting.
That is how you answer Benjamin Franklin's challenge, to do things worth the writing. Choose action, choose truth, and start building that legacy today.